Hi, this is Dennis Stauffer of DSI Ministries. I'm a Guatemalan gringo. I wanted to do a short video on this coronavirus in the church right now. And on this video, I just want to really just basically on the church, because the left has for so long now has basically crammed two questions down our throat for the last 30, 40 years. So I'm going to get to those in a second, but a lot of times you make these videos and people like that asking you, what makes you an expert? Well, the truth is, when you can deal with this virus and the way they're dealing with it, you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be a doctor. You just got to look at the real stats and not all the hype stuff about this thing. Like right now, the virus rate is going through the roof. It's just common sense why. You can test everybody now. When I had the disease or the virus back about March, I had 5 or 6 of the symptoms when I came back from Guatemala, flying back. And I couldn't get a test. I called around, I called state, I called the hospitals and stuff, and they told me just isolate myself. There was no test unless I got real bad, then I can go see my family doctor, then maybe go to the hospital. It never got to that, so I put it off, and I couldn't get a test, even though I was sick. Now you can get a test anywhere you want to, So if you can test the majority of the people, anybody, I can get out to the lab right now, pay $100 and get the test. I checked on that when I was getting some lab work done a few weeks ago for a doctor's appointment. I asked if you can get a test, and they said, sure, we can do it right now for $100 and some bucks. But I didn't want to do that. So, all you got to do is start looking at the death rate, which is only like 99%. Recovery rate, only 1%, but you listen to this thing, you think this is Ebola virus. But this is not what the virus is, this is not what this video is about. And the video is basically on two questions that the left has put down on us for years. One is the separation of church and state. I'm sitting here at my church now, and you could put up Christian stuff all you want on your property. But if I wanted to get down the street here, and I'm looking down the street at McDonald's right now and Burger King, and if I wanted to put up a cross there, you would have a fit. You can't do that on public things. You can't invade your church stuff onto private stuff and that. But right now, the rules have changed. Now the government thinks now, because they are making all this stuff crazy, that they can invade the church. Whatever happened to the separation of church and state, as you think? It doesn't exist. It's just a manipulation of a phrase once used. The founding fathers never ever meant that the church could not be involved in government, because most of the founders and people that wrote the independence were pastors and preachers and ministers and faith believers. They would never wrote that. But you manipulated it. But now, because of coronavirus, you switched around, and you're now dictating the churches that they can only limit their people to 50 people, and while at the same time you allow casinos and bars and stuff open up to 50% capacity. No matter if a casino can hold 5,000 people, I don't know how big they are in Las Vegas, I've never been there. That means you can put 2,500 people. Planes you can fill up, except for the middle row. And I've seen pictures of planes where people are crammed into a small area, but all of a sudden, churches, no matter what the size, you're saying can't open up, it's not essential. Well, the truth is, it should be churches, as you put it, the separation of church and state. You shouldn't be in this. We are an autonomous people. We are a family that gathers together, and we should be able to decide what we want. And like when I go into my church, and I'm going to get to this next question here in a second, I should be able to decide what I want to do. If everybody in that church decides they want to meet together, they have decided, which leads to this question, especially from the abortion people. The abortion people for so long, yells out, it's my body, my choice. Where is that now? It's my body, my choice. And if I want to, I gather together with a bunch of believers and meet with church, I should be able to choose. It's my body, my choice. And in this building where we gather to meet, people can decide if they want to get together and meet. And that's what we should be able to do. We should not be regulated by the government. And if everybody in our church and our pastors decide, mark off zones who people do want to gather and are afraid of the virus, they can do that. You know, there's cry rooms, there's overflow rooms. They can decide a special area for people that are afraid who still want to gather. But if we choose not to wear a mask, we choose to gather, and when I walk through those doors, and like I said before, I decide with the other people walking in there that we want to meet together, and it's our choice and our chance. And you shouldn't be able to dictate to us, you know. You know, once again, the hypocrisy of this movement, especially with the Democratic government, governors and the government running these things right now that are trying to dictate the church is no more than 50, but on everything else, you have changed that. So you don't have a right to say to us, you know, you're just pushing your power on us and we're not going to adhere to it. So that is my small voice, you know, my opinion on stuff. You know, whatever happened to church, separation of church and state, and what happened to my body, my choice that the abortion people want. You know, you want to crow that out all the time until this virus, that doesn't apply. Sorry, you can't play both sides of the road. And that is my opinion.